Bean had no intention of taking the money. Not at first. Even though the ticket was technically hers, given that she had paid for it on her own credit card, she didn't think about it like that. She wasn't interested in money. She wasn't that kind of person. What was money anyway but an idea, a pure invention? It was like God or magic or love. You had to believe in it to make it real. She bought the ticket on the way home from work on a Friday in late summer, the final stinking hot day of the season. It was a difficult day at the dog shelter, and Bean was in a bad mood. She usually enjoyed her work. It wasn't like she had a vocation for it, but she loved the satisfaction of a freshly cleaned kennel, the way the dogs would bound over to her when she brought them their breakfast, like she was some kind of minor celebrity. Today, though, there had been nothing fun about it. The animals and humans alike were overheated and crabby, snapping at each other all day like peevish crocodiles. Picking up the ticket was a final inconvenience she could have done without. It meant disembarking the tram 3 stops early to slip into the newsagent just before closing time and fill in her numbers while the store owner sighed and drummed her acrylics on the countertop. Bean glanced up at the finger-drumming woman, who appeared to be somewhere between 65 and 300 years old, with a face like an ancient grape and glasses so aggressively unfashionable that on someone Bean's age they would have been a statement piece. Her thinning hair was dyed a shade of red that Bean usually associated with Ziggy Stardust. "Sorry," Bean said. "I'll be done in a second." The woman did not even look at Bean, but she stopped drumming and began leafing through a magazine. Bean, anxious, filled in the numbers too fast, shading 42 instead of 24, and 7 when her mother had requested a 6. She considered asking for a new form, but the shop owner's irritation was approaching critical mass. And anyway, what did it matter? One number was as good as another. She handed over the form with her card, the woman scanned both, and the machine spewed out the ticket. "Thanks," Bean said, jamming the ticket into her backpack in between a final demand from the electricity company and an Anne Tyler novel she had been carrying around for weeks and not yet begun reading. Outside, the heat was oppressive, humid enough to sous vide your internal organs if you stayed out in it too long. But the next tram was not due for almost 20 minutes, so Bean decided to walk home. It was only 5 blocks after all, and she could do with the exercise. It took 1 block for the beads of sweat to start tickling her neck and sliding down her spine like the fingers of a sleazy boss. 2 blocks to realise that her new boots, cheap, second-hand, half a size too small, were beginning to come apart at the sole. She arrived home damp and blistered, tossed her bag down on the kitchen bench, pulled a beer out of the fridge, and held it against the skin of her neck. The smooth coolness of the bottle gave partial relief from the heat she had brought in with her. Her head ached. She wondered if she was coming down with something. Within a few hours, Bean had all but forgotten the lottery ticket. If she hadn't seen the news report a few days later, she might never have thought of it again.